So far, we have known our world as having 7 continents: Asia, Africa, Europe, North America, South America, Australia, and Antarctica. However, in 2017, a study by GNS Science in New Zealand changed our perception of world maps. They found strong evidence for the existence of an 8th continent, not just a myth like Lemuria or Atlantis, but a real landmass partially submerged under the sea. This discovery is the culmination of research that began 380 years ago, showing that our understanding of the Earth's geology is still evolving. Part of this 8th continent is still visible above sea level, namely the area we now know as New Zealand. Incidentally, New Zealand is the homeland of the Maori tribe, who believe their ancestors once inhabited this sunken continent. These findings also raise interesting questions. Do the Maori really have a close connection to the 8th continent, and do their traditional stories hold clues to a forgotten past? This discovery opens a new window for scientists to study the geological history of the Earth and human interactions with its environment, as well as providing a new perspective on the origins and stories of the Maori people. For centuries, speculation about the existence of an 8th continent has circulated, known as Terra Australis Incognita. In the era of the Roman Empire, Ptolemy put forward the idea of a large landmass in the southern hemisphere to balance the known continent in the northern hemisphere. In 1642, Abel Tasman, driven by his obsession to discover this mysterious continent, sailed from Batavia, now Jakarta, for New Zealand. However, disappointment befell him when the land he found was not as magnificent as he had imagined. His first encounter with Maori people was also hostile, resulting in the death of 4 members of his party. Although the search for Terra Australis ultimately led to the discovery of Australia, speculation about the existence of an 8th continent continues. In 1995, Bruce Leyendijk proposed the existence of a landmass hidden below sea level around New Zealand, which he named Zealandia. And in 2017, scientists finally recognized Zealandia as a submerged continent, making it the 9th recognized continent in the world. Abel Tasman's group, whose ambition was to discover a new continent, was faced with an unpleasant reality. Their encounters with native New Zealanders were violent. Tasman and his men attacked the incoming canoes with cannons, recording 11 canoes destroyed by the attack. This incident was not a single incident, but occurred several times while they were anchored around New Zealand. This incident marked the end of the Tasman expedition mission. After several weeks, Tasman chose to return to Batavia without setting foot in New Zealand. Tasman's reluctance to continue exploration was based on 2 main reasons. New Zealand's landmass was not as large as expected, and the native population was aggressive. For Tasman, their mission had been fulfilled, proving that the land was not a continent. This despair led to the naming of the location as Murderer's Bay, a reference to the violence that occurred. Even though Australia had been discovered at that time, Europeans were still looking for a legendary continent that they believed was different. The Tasman expedition, although it ended in disappointment, was the first recorded attempt to discover Zealandia, inspiring subsequent explorers and researchers to delve into the continent's mysteries. News and speculation about this 8th continent is increasingly spreading, encouraging many parties to solve the mystery hidden behind the ocean. In 1984, a scientist put forward the theory that New Zealand was part of a continent, although its boundaries were unclear. Thanks to advances in research on plate tectonics, underwater land, and geophysics, it was finally revealed that around New Zealand there was a sinking land plate, strengthening the theory of Zealandia's existence. The rock composition of Zealandia shows diversity, reflecting its proximity to continental crust. Granite, limestone, and sandstone are common on continental land, while the surrounding seabed is dominated by basalt rocks that form oceanic crust. Although the continent's seafloor has been mapped for decades, recent scientific exploration has uncovered compelling evidence of its continental nature. In the 1960s, the true extent of Zealandia began to be revealed, providing insight into the tectonic forces and geological processes that shaped it. A research breakthrough occurred in 2017 when an international team led by GNS Science provided comprehensive evidence about the characteristics of the Zealandia continent. Variations in the thickness of the geological crust, its significant size, and its separation from Australia and Antarctica were important factors in confirming its existence. GNS Science scientists played a key role in uncovering Zealandia, discovering similarities in its continental crust to Antarctica, demonstrating the geological connections that once united these 2 continents. To recognize their contribution, the New Zealand Geographic Board plans to name Zealandia in the Maori language. This process involves considering the perspective of Maori people, incorporating their historical, cultural, and linguistic knowledge of the land and sea they inhabit. Geological and Nuclear Sciences (GNS) collaborated with Associate Professor Menuka Henare of Auckland University, a descendant of the Maori people, to determine an appropriate name for Zealandia. Professor Henare, then the Associate Dean of Maori and Pacific Development, possessed a profound understanding of the geological history and physics of the New Zealand region and a cultural perspective on Maori and Pacifica exploration. He proposed the name Te Rua Maui, which translates to the hills, valleys, and plains of Maui in the Maori language. Professor Henare and Gienna's hoped that Te Rua Maui would be widely adopted as the name for the continent, but Zealandia remains the more commonly used term. Zealandia encompasses an area of approximately 4.9 million square kilometers, while Maui, an ancestral figure in Polynesian mythology, is believed to have sailed across vast oceans, bringing fish to the islands that now comprise the Polynesian region. The Maori term riu refers to the hull of a canoe, the torso of the body, or something that unites various parts into a whole. In the geological context, Te Rua Maui can be interpreted as the heart of Maui's realm. Aotearoa, or New Zealand, constitutes only about 35% of the emerged portion of Te Rua Maui, with the majority of the continent submerged underwater. In 2020, maps revealing the bathymetry, shape of the seafloor, and tectonics rock foundation of Zealandia, a continent submerged largely beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean, were released. This map is a starting point for GNS researchers to dig deeper by taking sieved rock samples. Their research in 2023 produced 3 key findings that confirms Zealandia's existence as a continent: perfect mapping of its entire territory, the discovery of a giant volcanic region that was evidence of the breakup of the Gondwana supercontinent, and the existence of ancient granite rocks called the batholith field. Zealandia's existence is now increasingly established, confirmed by various mapping, geological sampling, and scientific analysis until 2024. This research is also supported by satellite imagery, which is able to trace variations in Earth's gravity in each part of the seafloor plate map. Satellite technology provides a clearer view of Zealandia, which turns out to be almost the size of the Australian continent. International recognition of Zealandia as a continent could have a major impact on New Zealand, as this impacts its maritime boundaries. Since 1995, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea has established the legal basis for maritime boundaries. By being recognized as a continent, New Zealand has the potential to have rights to a wider marine area, including potential new marine resources. The development of theories about Zealandia, a submerged continent 6 times the size of Madagascar, has fueled New Zealand's ambition to expand its sovereign territory. They argue that if they succeed in proving Zealandia is part of their territory, then they can claim ownership rights to marine resources, minerals, oil, and everything in the area, which is far beyond their exclusive economic zone of 370 kilometers from the line beach. This view has sparked huge funding for expeditions and surveys aimed at gathering evidence to support the claim. Every piece of evidence collected will strengthen the belief that New Zealand has a right to Zealandia's abundant natural wealth. If this claim is acknowledged, New Zealand could turn into a rich country overnight. However, for now, more strong and comprehensive evidence is needed to truly confirm that Zealandia is indeed an integral part of New Zealand's territory, so that their claims to these resources can be legally justified and internationally accepted. The Maori people, skilled sailors with strong bodies, brownish skin, and fierce faces, originated from a great migration called the Great Fleet in the 14th century. Originating from Hawaii, the mystical land now identified as Tahiti, these Polynesian people migrated in droves to New Zealand. Genetic, archaeological, linguistic, and anthropological evidence points to their ancestry as originating from the indigenous people of Taiwan. They have typical Polynesian physical characteristics, namely tall, light brownish skin, straight or slightly wavy black hair. After arriving in New Zealand around 1300 AD, the Maori formed their own unique culture. They live in iwi, or tribes, which recognize a common ancestry. Their migration was via canoe, a traditional Polynesian vessel. During centuries of isolated living in New Zealand, they developed a culture distinct from their Polynesian ancestors. Maori history can be divided into 2 main periods: the Archaic period, c. 1300 to 1500 AD, and the Classical period, 1500 to 1642. During the Archaic period, Maori tribes first arrived in New Zealand and began their civilization. However, the plants they brought from their homeland did not develop well, so they depended on hunting. As a result, their population increased rapidly, leading to competition and fighting between tribes. Their villages were fortified with fences, and each tribe developed a distinct culture. From here emerged the haka, a typical Maori war dance which has now become a symbol of their culture. In the early 1500s, a group of Maori people migrated to the Chatham Islands and formed the peace-loving Moriori tribe. Meanwhile, contact with Europeans, especially England, began with the arrival of Abel Tasman. This had significant influences on the Maori, including Western food, technology, weapons, and culture. In 1840, the Treaty of Waitangi was signed, making New Zealand part of the British Empire. Initially, relations between both parties went well. However, disputes over land sales led to conflict in the 1860s and large-scale land confiscations from Maori tribes. Small wars and subsequent disease outbreaks led to a significant decline in the Maori population. In the early 20th century, relations between Maori and Europeans in New Zealand began to improve, marked by an increase in the Maori population. In the 1960s, a protest movement emerged demanding compensation for the historical losses they experienced, such as land confiscation and cultural oppression. Since then, efforts to equalize the social, political, cultural, and economic position of the Maori people have continued, until finally they lived side by side with European citizens. However, minor conflicts still often occur, especially regarding nominal compensation, which Maori feel is unfair. Meanwhile, the story of the formation of civilization in Zealandia itself holds a mystery. Over 380 years of research, strong evidence shows that this eighth continent really existed, split from the Gondwana supercontinent along with Antarctica and Australia. The possibility of an ancient civilization in Zealandia before the arrival of modern humans is still debated, considering the history of life on Earth and the possible evolution of civilizations in various parts of the world. Conspiracy theories about a pyramid-shaped mountain structure in Antarctica add another layer of mystery. Its almost perfect shape has sparked speculation about the existence of ancient civilizations or even alien civilizations in the past, similar to the legends of Lemuria or Atlantis. Even though Antarctica is dominated by sea ice and frozen land, the Ellsworth Mountains there do contain a mountain with a striking pyramid shape. However, it should be remembered that interpretations of geological forms and the history of civilization need to be based on strong and objective scientific evidence. Although the mysteries of civilization in Zealandia and Antarctica continue to attract interest, careful research and analysis is still needed to uncover the truth behind these phenomena. The theory linking the ancient Zealandia civilization to Antarctica has been debunked by strong scientific evidence. Firstly, the origins of the ancient Maori people can be traced to Polynesia, far north of Antarctica. Second, the breakup of Gondwana occurred millions of years before human history. Third, geological studies show that pyramid formation at Zealandia was most likely caused by glacier convergence, not tectonic activity. Despite this, several legends and circumstantial evidence continue to fuel speculation about a possible connection between Zealandia and lost ancient civilizations such as Gondwana or Mu. The legend of the rock bird, recorded in ancient Egyptian scriptures, suggests the possibility of a sunken continent in the Pacific, which may correspond to Zealandia. Depictions of large birds in the mythologies of various cultures also support this speculation. Although scientific evidence does not support these theories conclusively, they still tickle the imagination and shed light on still unsolved mysteries of the past. In global mythology and symbolism, the rock bird has a significant role as a symbol of national pride for many countries. In Indonesia, the Garuda bird, taken from Hindu legend, symbolizes courage and strength and is the symbol of the country. The legendary story of the rock bird that saved the drowning survivors of Mu from the ocean makes it an important icon in certain mythologies. These survivors, who are said to have been ancestors of ancient Egypt and Polynesia, are believed to have acquired their knowledge and navigational skills from the rock bird. This legend highlights the importance of the sea as a means of human dispersal, allowing them to adapt to new environments and form distinct cultures. Through the story of the rock bird, humans are reminded of their ability to conquer the seas, build civilizations, and create a rich cultural diversity that enriches humanity's collective heritage. From a conspiracy theory perspective, the Maori story of Maui may have its roots in survivors of the extinct Mu civilization, who were nourished by the mighty rock bird. The legend tells that Maui then sailed to Zealandia, becoming the catalyst for the migration of the Maori people. However, this claim is only supported by mythology and has no scientific basis. Debates surrounding the relationship between Mu, Lemuria, and Zealandia often arise in online forums. Some argue that Zealandia was a real continent that was once connected to Australia until a fault separated the two, causing some or all of the land to be submerged. This process is thought to have taken tens of millions of years, and the fault boundary is around the New Zealand area. Supporters of this theory believe that New Zealand may have been underwater, then surfaced when part of Zealandia was lifted. Meanwhile, other parties argue that the claim of the existence of Mu and Lemuria as lost civilizations is just a myth. They assert that Zealandia has been scientifically proven after centuries of research, while the evidence supporting the existence of Mu and Lemuria remains speculative. Thus, although this topic is still an interesting topic of debate, the general consensus is that Zealandia is a proven fact, while Mu and Lemuria remain unsolved mysteries. Lemuria, a hypothetical landmass proposed in the 19th century by geologists to explain the similarity of fauna on landmasses separated by the Indian Ocean. has long been the subject of speculation and mystery. The theory of Lemuria's existence collapsed with the emergence of Alfred Wegener's theory of continental drift in 1915 and was later strengthened by Harry Hammond Hess's theory of seafloor spreading in the 1960s. Seafloor mapping using sonar by Marie Tharp and Bruce Heezen further debunked the existence of a hidden continent at the bottom of the Indian Ocean, finding only traces of small islands or microcontinents. Similar to Lemuria, the hypothesized existence of Mu in the Pacific Ocean was also never proven. Despite similarities in artifacts between the Maya and ancient Egyptians, which are linked to Maori stories about Maui, satellite mapping does not show any seafloor faults indicating the existence of Mu, unlike Zealandia, which has been confirmed. The story of Mu and Lemuria, often discussed in occult literature, tells of the survivors of a lost civilization, thought to have originated in the southern part of the earth, spreading to new lands. Among them, the Polynesians, who carry through generations stories about their ancestral land, Zealandia, which is believed to be the center of their history. Their migration from Zealandia is what makes them the ancestors of the Maori people, who are tied to the legend of their sunken ancestral land. Although scientific evidence refutes the existence of Lemuria and Mu, stories of lost civilizations and human migration continue to capture our imagination, reminding us of the power of folklore and legend in shaping the identity and history of a human group. From a scientific perspective, the existence of the continent Zealandia has been proven by significant geological evidence. This landmass is a fragment of a larger landmass that was broken up in prehistoric times. Part of the submerged land then emerged to the surface, forming the mainland of New Zealand and New Caledonia. However, legends about Lemuria and Mu, civilizations believed to have existed before recorded human history, are not supported by scientific evidence. Theories about potential links between Zealandia and these ancient civilizations remain speculation. The perspective of the Maori tribe, who have inhabited New Zealand for centuries, provides its own insight into the existence of Zealandia. Maori oral history and language, relatively unchanged since their ancestors arrived there, offer a unique understanding of the relationship between this people and the land. Although the Maori language has been influenced by other languages since the early 19th century, it remains an important marker of Maori cultural identity and their connection to Zealandia. The development of the Maori language shows their strong belief in their ancestor Maui, who is thought to have brought them to New Zealand. Maui, in their beliefs, is not just a god, but a heroic figure, similar to a hero in Polynesian mythology. He is credited with providing them with resources in the form of wild animals, uniting tribes, and bringing fish and birds from various corners of the world. This belief is similar to Shintoism in Japan, which also emphasizes a harmonious relationship with nature. Although these beliefs existed long before the arrival of the Maori people in New Zealand, the name Zealandia did not appear in their language until recent research revealed the existence of the continent. The Maori language then adapted by naming Zealandia as Te Rua Maui, meaning the natural center of Maui. This name not only reflects their belief in Maui's strength, but also describes Maui's important role in providing resources and shaping life for humans. The story of Maui, which has been told from generation to generation, depicts a heroic figure who was willing to make sacrifices to help people on Earth. Maui was said to steal fire from hell, attract islands with his magic hook, and catch the sun to regulate the length of daylight. Maui's story varies from generation to generation, but the essence of the story remains the same, depicting Maui as a demigod figure who helps humans survive. The name Te Rua Maui for Zealandia is a form of tribute to Maui, which is considered to have provided shelter and resources for Polynesian people, including the Maori tribe who inhabited New Zealand. So, it is not some kind of myth that Zealandia once had a mysterious center of civilization led by Maui, but more because Zealandia can be scientifically proven that it was adapted for use in the Maori language. This eighth continent, Te Rua Maui, has close ties to Maori culture. However, it should be remembered that the discovery of Zealandia was based more on scientific evidence, such as geological and geophysical data, which shows that this land was once connected to other continents. Conspiracy stories about civilization in this land until its relationship with other land civilizations such as Mu, Lemuria, and Atlantis have been debunked. Currently, the main focus is on uncovering the mysteries of Zealandia's geology and natural history, not searching for evidence of a lost civilization. Of course, a discovery of this magnitude opens up many questions about the past and potential of this submerged continent. Regarding hidden mysteries, we need to remember that science continues to develop and there may be new discoveries that can change our view of Zealandia. However, judging from currently available data, the discovery of Zealandia was the result of natural geological processes and not a conspiracy designed to strengthen New Zealand's territorial claims. Alright, that's all for our mythology discussion today. If you have any additions or corrections, please leave them in the comments section. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.